Hey guys, a very warm welcome back to my channel. So from today onwards we'll be starting up with a new topic that is going to be cell structure and function, and this is coming under the UPSC zoology optional. So I've already declared on my channel that I'm going to begin with this topic of zoology optional. Okay, and I'm going to begin with various topics of zoology optional because I've already seen that it is very difficult to find legitimate zoology optional topics anywhere else. Okay, so that becomes a challenge and you're not able to understand what the different topics are. Many of the time you need help. Okay, so for that matter I am here for all of you. So we are going to start up with the zoology optional topic, and the first thing that I'm going to start up with a broader, this is a broad topic, okay, and under this we are going to have many of the subtopics, and the topic is called cell structure and functions. Okay, so this is the basic unit. The basic unit of life is called a cell, so we need to understand what cell is, what are the different organelles inside the cell. Okay, so that is going to be the topic of discussion for today's first zoology optional video for UPSC. So before beginning, for all the people new here, hello everyone, my name is Awan, and this channel you are here currently on is Awan Onjo. I've written it here also for your convenience. So we are already we have created many of the GS related videos of UPSC. So we create free videos for UPSC with in-depth knowledge and analysis, which is going to be helpful even in your answer writing part. Okay, so it is going to be of that extensive level. So you are going to see many of the GS videos already, general studies videos already there on my channel. You can check my channel out right now. I've already covered many topics of the polity, constitution, of international relations, bilateral relations, and I'm moving forward with the topic simultaneously. And I also decided to start up with another zoology optional course where we are going to discuss various topics of the zoology optional from the view that we are going to see it through the lens of optional topic. Okay, that is going to be even more in depth. Okay, so we are going to start up with this topic. So without any further ado, let's begin. So the name of the topic is cell structure and functions, and the basic thing that I'm going to cover here is going to be, first thing is going to be the difference between the prokaryotic cells and the eukaryotic cells. We all know that cell is the basic unit of life and it makes life basically. Okay, whatever the complex organisms we see around us, all of them are created out of different millions, trillions, even infinite, we can say, because that the cells are going to be uncountable. Okay, so that amount of cell is going to together constitute a organism. So we need to understand the differences between the two different categories of cell, as we all have studied this in the junior classes also. The cell, the two different categories of cell, that is prokaryotic cell and the eukaryotic cell. Sorry. Okay, so here you can see the image of a cell which is looking much simpler in comparison to this cell which is looking much complex. Okay, so this complex and advanced cell is known as eukaryotic cell, whereas a simpler cell or a kind of a not that advanced cell or a kind of a primitive cell, primitive is going to be the better term, this cell is called as prokaryotic cells. Now let us study at the basic difference between both of these cells, because we need to just know the basics before proceeding further. Okay, so when I talk about the basics, so first of all let me give you certain examples that you can add into the list. So like you know the blue green algae, BGA. Okay, so the blue-green algae, the first known prokaryotic cells, they can be included as an example. Then you can also include the mycoplasma cells like PPLO. Okay, so you can also, you need to write the examples because you should know, you should explain the examiner that yeah, these are the examples of the prokaryotic cells with a much simpler kinds of cells. Whenever we talk about the eukaryotic cells, so here we can talk about the more complex forms of cell like algae. Okay, like algae, and you can talk about the plant cells, animal cells. Here the image that you are looking at currently is a animal cell. We have plant cells also, we have metazoans also, so you can mention their names. Okay, now let us move forward to the differences between both of them. So I have taken this image from Science Facts from Google Images. Okay, and I think the source needs to be mentioned in every video. So this is a beautiful picture explaining the difference. So you can see certain common arrows or indicator indicatory marks which are common in both of them, but they are actually different. Like the cytoplasm is there in this also, but the composition would be different. Okay, whereas the ribosomes are there, the type of ribosome is going to be different in both of them, although both of them carry the same like organelle. Okay, but their composition is going to be much different, so we need to look at it to that extent also. So first of all, let me start with the outermost covering, that is the capsule. So the capsule is a thing that is present only in the prokaryotic cell. You cannot find any kind of capsule. Even if we talk about the plant cells, we are not going to find any kind of capsule in it. So this is a feature that is exclusive to prokaryotic cell only. Now let us come to the next thing, that is called as cell wall. So when I talk about the cell wall, here it is indicated clearly. This dark blue colored area is the cell wall. So the cell wall is present also in the eukaryotic cell, although here you cannot see because this is an animal cell, but a plant cell actually carries a cell wall. We all know that. Now what could be the difference between the cell wall of a eukaryotic cell or a cell wall of a prokaryotic cell? What would be the difference between both of them? So the difference lies in the composition, as I already told you. The cell wall of the prokaryotic cell is going to be non-cellulosic in nature. It is not going to be made up of a cellulosic material. Rather, it is going to be made up of a material that is known as muramic acid. Muramic acid is an amino acid derivative. Okay, and amino acid derivative, to be more specific, it is made up of peptidoglycan. So if anybody is asking you what it is made up of, so you can also mention peptidoglycan. That is also going to be a correct answer. Okay, so peptidoglycan, which is a amino acid derivative, so that is the one, and the units of amino acid derivatives together constitutes the term that we call as muramic acid. So you can say that the cell wall is non-cellulosic in nature, whereas when we talk about the eukaryotic cell, so the cell wall in the case of plant cell is going to be cellulosic in nature. It is going to be made up of cellulose. Okay, now let us talk about the other thing, that is the nucleoid here, and the comparison is going to be done with the nucleus of the eukaryotic cell. So as you can see the nucleus here, so it is comprising of various other subcomponents like nuclear envelope, chromatin, nucleoplasm, nucleolus. Now here you can see chromatin is a DNA, nucleoid is a DNA, but in the case of prokaryotic cell, the nucleoid is lying just like that. This dark blue colored thread like structure is what is known as nucleoid. Okay, and this is just lying like that into the cytoplasm. There is no particular structure, there is no particular covering inside which it is found. But whereas when we compare it with the eukaryotic cell, so here you can see this purple colored structure which we call as nucleus, you all know. So this nucleus is going to carry the chromatin as a genetic material, DNA. Okay, so it is inside a well defined structure which is known as nucleus. So we can say there is well defined membrane bound structure in which the chromatin is present, whereas when we talk about the prokaryotic cell, so the structure is not consisting of any kind of external membranes around it, and it makes it asymmetrical basically, whereas the eukaryotic cell is more symmetrical. Okay, now if I talk about the almost all the organelles inside a prokaryotic cells, whatever is there, they're going to lie freely in the cytoplasm. Okay, there is not going to be any kind of well-defined membrane-bound organelles, whereas all the organelles like mitochondria, vacuole, Golgi apparatus, intermediate filaments, lysozyme, etc., all of them are like ERs are there. Okay, so all of them are lying in a particular, you know, membrane bound organelle. They are having a particular shape, particular function, so it is like much more organized. Okay, whereas all the things are not organized in a prokaryotic cell. It is very much chaotic. Okay, and everything is just like that inside the cell, lying around without any specific structure. Okay, now if you want to go into more detail of DNA, so you can say that the polycystonic DNA is present in the prokaryotic cell, whereas the monocystonic DNA is present in the eukaryotic cell. So you have to mention it basically, that is important point. Now let me talk about a very important, yeah, so ribosome. Well, ribosome. Okay, so the ribosome I have to write because this is an important thing. You need to note certain things. Ribosome here are of 70S type. Okay, whereas the ribosome in the eukaryotic cell are of 80S type. So just mention it, 70S and 80S. Now this 70S is going to be made up of 50S, 50S plus 30S, although on addition you are not going to get 50 plus 30 equals to 70, but this is how it is. This is made up of 50s and 30s, whereas if you're going to add 10 just to make you like a memory aid, so 80s is going to be made up of 60s plus 40s. So these are the different kinds of ribosomes which are found in the eukaryotic and prokaryotic cell. So prokaryotic is consisting of 70s, eukaryotic is consisting of 80s. So if you have to remember it, so a way to remember this is you need to remember for 70s, that is going to be 50 plus 30, and if you are going to add 10 in all three of them, so you are going to get a prokaryotic. So 70 plus 10 80, 50 plus 10 60, and 30 plus 10 40. So in a way it is a kind of a memory aid for you to remember this thing. Now this is the difference between the ribosomes of both the cells. Fine. Now let's move forward. Let us move into the next important topic, that is the flagella. You cannot in this particular structure it is not there, but many of the eukaryotic cells are having flagella, cilia in them. Okay, so what is the difference? So here the flagella is made up of a comparatively, you can say, a simpler and a single stranded protein known as flagellin, FLAGELLIN. Just mark this, just write this somewhere. Okay, whereas when I talk about the eukaryotic cell, so the flagella is going to be made up of a protein that is called as flagella cilia, is going to be made up of a protein called as T. Just a sec. So flagellum is going to be made of a protein that is called as tubulin, TUBULIN. So it is going to be made up of a protein called as tubulin, and it is having a specific arrangement, 9+2 arrangement. We have already studied in the junior classes, although I'm going to repeat it. So 9+2 arrangement is seen at the microtubule level in the eukaryotic cell. So you can say it is a much more advanced structure. Now when I talk about the cytoplasm, so the cytoplasm is having a kind of a seeming, what do we call, the cytoplasm is showing a streaming movement. That is the movement, like it is going to move in a cyclic movement kind of thing. Okay, so that is not found in the prokaryotic cell, but the cytoplasm is going to move in a streaming movement in the eukaryotic cell inside the cell. Okay, so this streaming movement is not found in the prokaryotic cell, whereas it is found in the eukaryotic cell. Okay. And also the methods of division, when I talk about the prokaryotic cell, so they are going to be the simpler methods of division, like the methods like mitosis or the simple fission could be there. Whereas when I talk about the eukaryotic cell, so meiosis, mitosis is going to be the method of division, so it is a much complex method. Okay, so here the spindle formation is going to occur while dividing, and the spindle formation during the fusion is not going to be there while dividing. Fine. So I think I've covered most of the major differences. Okay, and you should all I hope you might have noted these. You can also draw these images, they are very much simple. Now how we are going to move forward, let me give you a glimpse of that. So as you guys can see that the difference between the prokaryotic cell and eukaryotic cell is too much. Okay, it is like two distinct cells with distinct identities basically. So when I talk about the eukaryotic cell, so it is much more advanced and complex, and we need to study each and every organelle of it, like all of the organelles. You can see some of them are marked there, some of them might not be marked there, but we have to study all of them, like endoplasmic reticulum, mitochondria, vacuole, Golgi apparatus, everything, nucleus. Okay, we are going to study every part of the eukaryotic cell in detail, and wherever there are going to be the comparisons that is going to be made, so at that point of time I'm going to compare it with the prokaryotic cell, although that is not much important because we have to focus on eukaryotic cell and its advanced functions and its advanced organelles. Okay, because that is more of the topic of interest. So guys, I'm going to follow the UPSC syllabus only. Okay, this is not a coaching class for your college syllabus basically, so I'm just going to strictly be on the syllabus of UPSC. Okay, so there are many topics that you need to do, there are many topics you don't need to do, so I'm going to go according to the syllabus. Now the first thing that I want to talk about is going to be the membrane, that is the outermost. Okay, so there are all these membranes. are called as biomembranes. So from now I'm going to start my discussion on biomembranes. So I'm just going to write the topic here so for your understanding. So I'm going to talk about biomembranes now. So when I talk about the biomembranes, so all of the membranes, I've already told you that in the eukaryotic cell you have organelles which are bound by membranes. These membranes are basically semi-permeable in nature. Okay, they are bound around the various organelles. They are used as a covering of the cells and organelles. Okay, they could be extended, folded, okay, and they can be repaired itself quickly. They are going to play a vital function in a living cell. It is going to basically control the entry and exit of various nutrients and other components. So biomembranes play a very important role. So we need to understand basic models of the composition of biomembranes. The picture you can see here is very easy. आप ये picture देख पा रहे हैं. This is a very important and a very easy image you can draw to explain the whatever is going to be the composition. So you can draw this diagram basically. So first, so we are discussing the compositions. Okay, so I have three different models. Okay, this is the first one, second one, and third one. Three different models are there which I have to discuss, which were given there out there for explaining the composition of biomembranes. What could be the possible, sorry, what could be the possible composition of biomembrane is explained by these three models, and the most accepted model is the Singer-Nicolson model given in 1932. We are going to discuss this as well. First of all, discuss the most initial model, first model. This was of Davison-Danieli model. You can pronounce it in any way, but Davison-Danieli model is basically the model given in 1935. It is also called as sandwich model. Okay, so here you can see the different layers of proteins. Okay, so what does this model suggest? This model say that the biomembrane is going to be composed of a higher amount, that is around 59 to 75% of proteins. Okay, so 59 to 75% is going to be proteins, and the lipids are going to be much lesser, that is going to be 20 to 40% of lipids are going to be there into the biomembrane, and they are together going to compose them, and there is going to be the minute quantities, that is around 1 to 5% of carbohydrates is also going to be there. Okay, so you can mention these ratios of composition. So carbohydrates are going to be much lesser in a minute quantity. Fine. Now the model is something like this. Okay, so this is like the general composition, okay, that we see. Now I'm going to discuss what does Davison-Daniel say, okay, relating to the composition. So of course it is made up of lipids and proteins. Fine. So here you can see the upper layer of this purple color. Let me remove all of what I have written already. I have to have a clean slide. So this particular purple colored thing is called as the alpha protein. So this is the protein part. Okay, so alpha protein is there. Now the glycerol or the hydrophobic part or the polar part, this yellow colored region you can see. Okay, this is going to be the glycerol, the lipid part. Okay, so glycerol is going to be there. Here this is the hydrophobic part. Here is going to be the hydrophobic tails. You guys can see this black colored tails. Okay, now they are together connected by the van der Waals forces. Okay, we have studied the van der Waals forces in our chemistry. Van der Waals forces, I think it's single L with a double A, van der Waals forces. Yeah. Okay, so they are together held by the van der Waals forces. Hydrogen bond is there between the protein and the glycerol. So here you can find the hydrogen bonding. Fine. Electrostatic ionic linkages can also be there, and this is the phospholipid bilayer that we talk about, which is talked about in Davison-Daniel model. Okay, now this model failed to explain the specificity of active transport to the membrane. So we have seen that the proteins, transporting proteins, are there in the membrane. So this model was not able to explain that basically. So that's why this model was rejected. Okay, so why is it called a sandwich model? Because proteins, the protein sandwich is the glycerol or the lipid part. Okay, Now let us look at the second model, which is known as Robertson model. This is the second model that we have to talk about. Now another model came, okay, because the earlier model was not able to explain, so the next model came, and this model came in 1959. Okay, this model came in 1959. So what does this model said? This model said that all membranes have the basic structure that is going to be same, but they are going to have their own distinctive composition, like the human beings. We are all made like same, but we are unique. Okay, so that is what is said by the Robertson, that all of the different kind of cells are going to have different kind of unique composition, but the basic structure is going to be the same, which they explained. Now you could see this is also known as unit membrane model. Okay, so you can see this model here. You could see these are green colored, they are the protein. Okay, they are the beta proteins. I hope that it's visible. Then we have these circular that is going to be the glycerol hydrophobic part lipid. So this is the glycerol. Okay, and this is the hydrophobic tail that we have talked about. Okay, and they are made up of like fatty acid tail. Fine, so this is the composition of the membrane. Okay, uh okay, so where did this model failed? Okay, so this model basically failed to explain the membrane stability and permeability. As you guys can see, there is no space for the semi-permeable nature for anything to enter, so they were not able to explain that. That's why this model was also then further rejected. Now the next model that is accepted is the 1972 Singer-Nicholson model. This is very important. This is also known as fluid mosaic model, and this picture beautifully explains it. You can see again the protein part. The protein part is not this one. Okay, this is the protein part. This globules that you can see, these large globules. Okay, this is the protein part, this is the lipid layer, and this is going to be the hydrophobic tails. Okay, now what does this said? This said that there are glycoproteins also present here. Okay, uh, there are intrinsic and extrinsic proteins. Some proteins are inside, like protruded inside the membrane. These are the intrinsic kind of protein. Intrinsic. Okay, whereas the other kind of protein that is external, this is the embedded one, right? This is the external. This is the external protein. So there are two kinds of protein, internal and intrinsic and extrinsic. I've written external, my mistake. Just write, instead of writing external, you have to write extrinsic. Extrinsic. Okay, so these are the two different kinds of proteins that are present. Okay, and it forms 30% of the total membrane. They said that it is going to be forming around 30% of the total membrane, the proteins combined together. Okay, now they are like a mosaic. Like I told you, it is also known as fluid mosaic model. Okay, so proteins are embedded within the layer. So these proteins are like the icebergs. That's why it is looking like a mosaic model. Okay, so there are phospholipid which are going to form the bilayer. Okay, they are going to be the unsaturated fatty acid tail, like these tails. The fatty acid tail is what we can see here, fatty acid tail. Okay, also there is like a close like all of these proteins that are there, they are going to prevent the close packing, which provides a kind of a fluidity to this model, fluidity to the layer, it says. Okay, also they are going to, it is also flip-flop sometimes, because they are going to change their positions. Okay, sometimes what happen is that the molecules, they change their position within the same layer. Like if this is the yellow colored layer, okay, so this protein might go here, this protein might come here, so they are going to flip-flop. Okay, so aisa this thing goes on, so hence it is also sometimes called as flip-flop model. Okay, Now intrinsic, I have told you that extrinsic proteins are 30%, whereas the intrinsic protein are going to be the 70% of the total protein. Okay, so so you can make out that the intrinsic proteins are more. Okay, and this is going to also provide the answer to that question which earlier models were not able to answer, about the transportation of protein, about the semi permeable nature of protein, about the active transportation that is being seen through the protein channels. Okay, so that is what is explained. Okay, so they are also called as tunnel proteins because they are going to, you know, carry the things in them, and they are going to transport it inside and then outside of the cell. Okay, you can also call this as quasi fluid because this is not completely a fluid model. Okay, so this is a quasi fluid model. Okay, so I hope that you are able to understand this particular topic of biomolecules, about the different models that are there. And this is the currently accepted model, that is the Singer-Nicholson model of 1972. This is a widely accepted current model that we follow. Now I have to take another topic which I'm going to start in this video itself. This is going to be the last topic for the video, and we are going to discuss the thing of the nucleus. Okay, so we are going to discuss the nucleus here, a very important organelle. It is called as the CPU, like a CPU to the computer, a brain to the human body is what is a nucleus to the cell, mastermind of the cell. Fine, so it is going to be the power center of the cell. It is going to going to take care of various functions of the cell. Okay, now let me talk about the nucleus. So, nucleus is first of all the largest cell organelle. It basically forms 25% of the total cell volume. Okay, it prevents the all cell. It is present basically in the all cells except for RBC. Human RBC does not carry nucleus. This is an important fact that you might have known or might not have known, but note it down right now. The only cell that is not going to have nucleus is going to be the RBC. Okay. In the prokaryotes, as I already told you, that it is not having a definite membrane, and hence it is just lying down like that, so we call it a nucleoid or genophore. Okay, the shape of the nucleus varies, like oval, disc shaped, globular, irregular shape. Here you can see a circular shape, so this is a particular kind of nucleus, but nucleus need not be only spherical, it can be oval, it can be disc shape, etc. Fine. Normally the cells are going to basically have one nucleus, but you know, their number could vary. Like if you see a binucleate liver cell, okay, so in the liver we have binucleate cells. In the cartilages we have polynucleate. In the cartilage also we have binucleate. The polynucleate are found in the osteoblast, the skeletal muscles, etc., because they have to perform higher labor intensive, or you can say energy intensive functions. Okay, so accordingly they are going to have more amount of nucleus, so it depends upon the kind of function that is performed by the cell. Now let me talk about the various parts. Okay, so here you can see various parts of nucleus. So you can see the chromatin here, this thread like structure. You can see the nucleolus, you can see the endoplasmic reticulum, which we are not going to study here. We are going to have a separate topic for that. We have nucleoplasm, nucleopore, we have nuclear membrane. Ribosome is also we are not going to study right now. Let me talk about all the remaining parts. So when I talk about the nuclear membrane, nuclear envelope. Okay, so what is this? It is basically perforated. As you guys can see here, the holes or the entry gates like thing. Okay, so it is perforated in nature, and it is not completely fixed. It is perforated, anything could enter, but this is going to be semi-permeable in nature. Again, the biomembrane that we discussed. Okay, that is the thing here. Okay, now this pores are also, you know, these pores, they are controlled by a complex that we called as annulus pore complex or pore basket complex. So this is going to control the movement of the pores. Okay, the pore size. Now when I talk about the nucleoplasm, so nucleoplasm, what is the nucleoplasm? So this particular cytoplasm of the nucleus is called as nucleoplasm. Okay, here all the things, chromatin materials, etc., are embedded. You can see the chromatin is lying inside the nucleoplasm. Okay, it is also going to have you know, water, minerals, nucleoproteins, nucleotides, DNA polymerase, RNA polymerase, because they are going to have these functions, okay, because chromatin is there. So all of these are going to lie inside the nucleoplasm, okay. Now chromatin. Now when I talk about the chromatin network, so these dense, like this network like structure inside the nucleoplasm is chromatin, okay. It was discovered by Fleming in 1879, and there are two types of chromatin we already know. In 12th also we studied about that. That is sorry, heterochromatin and euchromatin, okay. Heterochromatin and euchromatin. So heterochromatin is basically the denser network of chromatin. It is darkly stained when stained with a stainer, okay, and euchromatin is the lighter one. It is lightly stained and it is the active region, and whereas the heterochromatin is not active. So this one is active, comparative, not comparative, it is active, and this is not active, okay. Now also the genes, of course, if it is inactive, so genes are going to be inactive, whereas in the eukaryotic the gene is going to be active. Now when I talk about the heterochromatin, so it cannot be transcribed, basically the heterochromatin, whereas euchromatin can be transcribed, okay. Now let me talk about another thing, that is nucleolus. The nucleolus is going to be the nucleolus is basically a dense dark stained area, okay, and it is like it the number of nuclei is going to vary in different kind of species. It is formed from the nucleolar organizer region, which we actually don't have to study in detail, but you should know. It consists of proteinaceous matrix. It consists of Ca2 plus calcium. It consists of Ca2 plus, okay. So it is going to consist reserves of Ca2 plus ions and DNA that is going to be directly synthesized by rRNA. तो rRNA से जो भी डीएनए बन रहा है, राइबोसोमल आरएनए से जो भी डीएनए बन रहा है, that is going to be inside this nucleolus, okay. It is going to disappear during the cell division, and it is reformed during the nucleolar chromosome at the telophase. So telophase पे ये वापस से reform हो जाता है. So these were all the structures of a nucleus. As I have already told you, the endoplasmic reticulum and ribosome are not essentially covered in the nucleus, although they are around nucleus, so इसलिए we show them in images. Otherwise we have to study them separately. They are wide topics and need a separate explanation. So I am going to end this video here only. I hope you understood this concept well, okay. I've discussed everything using diagrams for your easy reference. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, leave a like for me. I could know that if I could see it, I could know that yeah, you guys are getting benefited from it. Share it with your friends who need it, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Just go right now, just hit that subscribe button. I need motivation, I need energy, and that to speak for you guys, so that is going to give me energy. So just go right now, subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much guys, have a very nice day, bye. And I'm going to make other videos soon. We are going to discuss about the other different remaining organelles, and soon we are going to study the zoology. Maybe one day we are going to finish it completely before the exam, okay. So thank you so much guys, have a very nice day, bye.